Hey guys and gals, Von Baden here. Let me start off by saying I do apologize. This slipped my memory, and I want to also say thank you to one of the members of our community here who pointed it out to me that, as you've seen in the little intro here, we're talking about my Plague Doctor's mask, which is not very Plague Doctor, but we'll get into that in a minute. So, I would like to say thank you to them for pointing out the fact that I did not do the third video, or asked if I had filmed it, which I did not, and we'll get into that in just a minute as well. Just so you guys understand, for me, creating things, I get an idea in my head of something I want to create, and then I get maybe 10 minutes into it, 10 days into building it or making it or whatever the case may be, and I run into an issue. Something that I didn't think would be a problem turns out to be a problem. So what I do is, rather than sit there and scratch my head for the next day, the next 2 days, the next month, whatever it takes to come up with a solution for whatever it is that didn't work out or needed to be changed, I have multiple projects going on at all times. As you guys have seen, I have, the Tree of Sorrows, which I hit a roadblock. It wasn't looking very tree-ish. It had the vines, but now I have a solution on how to make it look more tree-ish with the vines, so stay tuned for that. But we're not really here to talk about any of that stuff. We're here to talk about my Plague Doctor's mask, which I wanted to have it look more crow-ish, bird-like. So, I will link, or I will attempt to link, because sometimes it's hard to get those videos to link, but I'll try to do something so you can go back to Plague Doctor's mask, pot number 2 and pot number 1. But what I did was I took a skull mask that I had, which was just this. Of course, didn't have the beak on there. I went to the Joann Fabrics, and I found the craft foam that I was going to use to make the beak. Now, I used on the bottom part, I used a little bit thicker. I want to say I had like a 2mm, and it will be in the other video in part 2 where I actually go through the foams. But I want to say the one was like a 2mm, and the other one was like a 1.5mm or something like that. I used the 2mm craft foam for the bottom of the beak, because I have some elements that I'm not going to totally go into for this, that I needed something that was a little bit thicker and a little bit more sturdy. Hence, excuse me, I do also have a cold. I don't know if they'll come up real well on camera, but I have some vents in the bottom here to help with that, but once again, I'm not going into that. Now, like I said, I wanted something to look very bird-like. So, the normal Plague Doctor's mask, the beak on it is usually cylinder. Sometimes they did come down to, a curved point. I will try my best to give a downloadable PDF on this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'm a little new to some of this newfangled technology stuff you guys got going on, but I will do my best to do that. At the very, very least, I will leave measurements, but the beak is up to you. If you want to go with more of Plague Doctor, like I said, they did have this curve to them. I've seen some that were very cone shaped. You can go either way with that. What I did to get my curve on this is I took a piece of paper, because I could not find the mask itself, the template for it to do for free. So I had to create my own. So I used this sickle that a good friend of mine gave me that was pretty ratty and dingy, and this is a prop in the workings too. It's just not done. It was all rusted up, but there's a picture of that in video number 2 as well. I took this and I drew out on a piece of paper. I used cardstock paper to make my template. So I figured out what I wanted, and I did the whole thing, is that where I wanted it? And it pretty much was. This sickle blade, or scythe blade, however you want to call it, is about 13 inches long. I will give you measurements off of this in just a minute, but I drew it on a piece of paper and then went from there on making it fit more to the mask and to the face. So once I drew it out on paper, I cut the shapes out, and to make sure that it fit right and looked right, what I did was I took tape and I taped the paper pieces together and then held them up to the mask when the mask was still brown, of course. And there is pictures in the previous video. I'll do my best to also put them in this video, kind of showing what it looked like and where I was at when I was doing that. Once you're sure that your shape and the size is what you want, then you get your craft foam, you draw it out on your craft foam, and you cut it. Now, a little tip here for you is when I cut the 2 main trunks, not the bottom one, but the main trunks here, I took and I shaved the edges, because you got a flat square surface there on the edge, and I shaved one edge of it off after I cut the shape out. So when you sit here and you put these together, you don't end up with this big old blocky bridge. I don't know if that'll show up real well on camera, but so I glued these 2 together, and I used hot glue, let it dry. Then the bottom piece, I didn't cut the edge on this. I wanted it nice and flat. And what I did was I took and I started at the end here, and I glued it down and kind of laid it down and worked it backwards. That way, if I had any extra or whatever, it was easier to cut off here than trying to trim around the tip of the beak and all that. So, once again, using hot glue there. After I hot glued it all together, I took some acrylic flat black paint, and I painted it, and I let it dry. And then I painted it again and let that coat dry. From there, I glued it. I situated it on the face, and see if you can see this, on the bottom of the jawline there, to kind of give me my shape. And then I kind of pressed it back until I felt that it was where it needed to be. Glued it down, once again using hot glue. Painted the mask black. So when everything is done, this jacket here is definitely going to be part of this whole costume. But like I said before, I wanted something that was crow-like. So this will be covered in feathers, and I have a few other things that I'm going to do. Once again, apologize. I want to cut this video off here pretty soon. Sorry for forgetting to get this video out. My Facebook page, my business page. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, go over to The Magician Von Baden. I'll leave a link, or at least the name, in the description as well. And I'll make sure that this stuff with pictures and everything is there for anyone who's interested in making their own Plague Doctors. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. And once again, if you see something I said I was going to do and I missed it or whatever, by all means, reach out to me and let me know. And I will do my best to get it taken care of as quickly as possible for you guys. Thank you for being part of the Lost Ones. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.